But mostly I've been painting representationally, to put it in a big category. I painted the painting of my floor, just looking at the floor, and I thought, well, that's an interesting thing to paint. Hardly anybody ever just like looks at what's right under them. So I've been doing a few paintings of just a foot on the ground, because why not? I mean, that's pretty interesting to me now all of a sudden, what's underneath us. So I'll do it from life, or I'll take a picture of something, or I might also just pull something off the computer. I hardly ever copy anything like straight up, but I'll look at like what does a puddle look like exactly, like how does the light work on that, and maybe use that aspect of it. A lot of my imagery is more moving in that direction, I think. When I was young, it's like I have to be an artist. It's really important to be real serious about it, I have to be intense. And then after a while, you're like, well, why? Why does it have to be so attached to that idea? So I paint because it allows me to be expressive. It just turned out that I was better at smearing around a bunch of colored pigments. So yeah, I was lucky. I had indulgent parents. They gave me some art lessons and stuff. And I don't think they wanted me to become an artist, but little did they know what they were doing when they got me all those lessons. Like I got accepted to RISD, and then I opted to go to UNH undergraduate school, and then I went to UMass Dartmouth for graduate school. The reason I went to grad school was because I just wanted to have time to paint again. And then I lived on Nantucket for a couple years, surfing and working odd jobs, and then I got a job at Newport Art Museum teaching. That's what kind of brought me back. I mostly teach college. I like teaching drawing, introduction to drawing. It's really great because you get to see everybody improve a lot, and people have like little eye-opening experiences about drawing, and that's nice. And because it's a community college, these are kids who maybe just sort of ended up there, but you get a few that are really amazing. And then we try to send them on, send them on to UMass Dartmouth or Mass Art or RISD or something, so it's like a little foundation. See, I was painting like things like landscape from life and stuff like that, and it didn't seem very of the moment. So part of it was just wanting to be of your time. Everybody's experiencing the world more and more through a screen, so why are we like putting a bunch of apples and oranges on the table and painting that? It seemed more authentic to go somewhere else. The way it happened was, it's been a while, about like 12 years ago, I got divorced. And I was living in this little kind of dumpy place in Little Compton, and I didn't have a television. And I had like hardly anything, the ultimate bachelor pad, just like a table and a mattress. And then my father bought me a camera, digital camera, right when they were first coming out. And then I met my current wife, and she wanted a television. I hadn't had a television in several years, and it was a nice one. I turned it on, it was like, whoa, all these beautiful images, so first thing I do is start there's the camera, there's the TV. So I started taking, quick shots of mostly the news. I developed a theory that the news, like cable network news, just had like a stock imagery of disasters that they would recycle depending on what was happening, So it seemed like every time I turned on the news, there'd be like a flood. I was just taking pictures of like tornado came through, flood came through, war came through, and after a while they all started looking real similar, You really weren't sure where they were. They weren't site-specific. It was just generic disaster. And I was painting them on used newspaper plates. What I ultimately ended up doing was making these paintings in which you could see the old news of the day coming through from the plate with a kind of some sort of news-related disaster superimposed on top. And they're all like blue-green, they're like the same color as a television. And then the next thing that happened was YouTube appeared. And like everybody was putting everything, videos, like any guy with a cell phone, whatever. So gradually it went from being like news stories specifically to just all different stuff that you would find, random. So I wasn't like the only person, tons of people are doing that. It was sort of a collective thing. But I liked the look, and I liked that it was framed already, But what I really liked was the amateur aspect of it is what I came to enjoy most. The whole thing would be, horribly framed and whatever, and then all of a sudden it'd be like this one moment. Perfect, just go for that, take that. So I was like collaborating with people I didn't know. I've been doing a little bit with a friend of mine who's a photographer. He's printing imagery on these plates, whatever he wants, and then I just give it to me and say, here, do whatever you want, So I try to paint on them, and then if it doesn't work, I give it back to him, and we see what we get. I can see in a painting if there's any hesitation now. I've been painting long enough that I can see, whoops, that didn't flow quite right, So I can't tolerate that very much anymore. It's like you're trying to pull off some kind of miracle, It's like you're trying to do this thing which looks like it just came out of nowhere, effortlessly from you, and surprised even you when you made it, Like, that's the best ones, where you do something you didn't even expect to do. And you're like, whoa, and then you come back and it's like, it still looks fresh after a while. I just want to execute the paintings well. I guess that's where it's really going. I don't want it to look like I struggled. I want it to look beautifully executed, simple, and be an image that somehow sticks with you. It's kind of asking a lot of a painting, but yeah, one should ask a lot of one's painting, but one's artwork. But to get what you really want in a painting to appear every time is very difficult. Something always goes wrong. Something always isn't good enough. Yeah, just keep trying. So. Right now, midlife, everything's up in the air. Like, was it worth it to spend all that time in a studio? Probably, but it's not that important in some respects. Is it helping someone? Is it giving somebody food? No. So what is it doing? I don't know, it's intriguing. But I don't really think painters are anything better than anybody else. I think just to be creative is the most important thing. Why make an image? It's very odd, very innate human desire. So it satisfies something along those lines. I would miss it terribly if I stopped, but when it's all said and done, being an artist is not any better than being a cook. Let's face it, painting is pretty much, unless you're graffitiing over the parliament or something, painting doesn't really hurt people, and it is an opportunity for communication. So I like it on that level. You can communicate not only an idea, but you can also communicate on some other level with people, some intimate level, which is unexplainable, but which you get. That's kind of what I want in painting. Communicate that inexplainable intimacy.